Okay, here's how to remove and replace a carburetor off of a Honda clone. This is a Harbor Freight 6.5 horsepower engine that's installed on my pretty old snowblower. So I think I had some bad gas in here and I left it in there too long with the valve on. I didn't drain the sediment bowl or the just the bowl itself over here. So I tried cleaning out the carburetor completely and it didn't want to start. So the carburetors can be had for about 14 bucks on eBay. So for these Honda clones, GX200, GX160, so I ended up buying one of those. This is a eBay carburetor, 14 bucks shipped within the US. So not bad for 14 bucks. So okay, to start, you want to remove the air cleaner assembly. So remove the nut for the air filter. Remove the air filter like so. Next, you have to remove this bolt, this screw, and this bolt over here to remove the base for the air filter. Most of these bolts on this machine, or at least on the fuel system, if not the entire machine, are 10mm bolts. So all you'll need is a 10mm socket. And then once this is removed, you can just simply pull up on the base. This is the inlet throat for the carburetor. It's at this point where you remove the mounting bolts. These two nuts are what hold the carburetor and this plastic base here. So again, use the 10mm socket. I suggest turning off your fuel first. Valve to the left. Choke doesn't matter. It just helps free this plastic piece off. Once you have that out, you should be able to simply pull out, and this little plastic housing pulls off. There's your inlet for the carburetor. Gasket still in place. Okay, so here's what I did to pull off the fuel line. First, I grabbed a set of needle nose pliers here, and I gently crimped the fuel supply hose here, right at the halfway point, in just a spot that I could reach. And I crimped the fuel line so I wouldn't let any fuel escape once I pulled it off of the inlet over here at the carburetor. So I gently crimped the fuel hose, obviously loosened the clamp, pried it off. Now over here, this is what I believe, and I'm not completely familiar with carburetors, especially small engines. I believe this is the governor linkage, and the way you pull that off is, first you pull your carburetor far out enough where you can rotate this mechanism here enough so you can then pry the linkage straight out like that. And then this is the spring that helps keep it tensioned. You kind of just remove it like so, and then you set that aside at that point. Once you have that, you can pry on the inlet, the end of the hose here, pry on it to pull the hose off. And obviously there's no fuel leaking because you have your handy vice grips holding the fuel in somewhere over here. So once you have that in place, you can just simply gently pull straight out, and there you go. There's your old carburetor, and not as much fuel spillage as you would have had if you didn't use those pliers, and you didn't have to drain the gas tank either. So that's a huge help. Okay, grab your new carburetor or your rebuilt carburetor or whatever, and slide it. Make sure your old gasket is good. This engine is fairly new, so I knew all these gaskets were fine. So grab your new one. You can just simply slide it in like so. Okay, so at this point I installed the governor linkage up there. You can see it, it's working without binding or anything. I installed the fuel supply hose with the clamp, removed my handy vice grips here, installed the choke lever here. That works fine, and we have that set. Now we can go back and replace our plastic housing. Oh, actually before that, before you install that plastic housing, you have to install the inlet gasket from the old carburetor or your new one, whatever. Then you can install, make sure it's free of dirt. Then you can install your plastic housing here. And back here, you probably will notice there is a what I would consider like a breather tube that goes inside that heat shield, or I'm sorry, this is the valve cover. And then you plug that back in here. Okay, now the rest is just a reverse of disassembly. Get your housing back on. Put your base plate for the air filter back on. I'm gonna leave this like this so I can spray a shot of starting fluid if it's a little rough to start. Let's see what else. Once you have that, turn your fuel valve on. Choke on, since it's a cold start pretty much. And obviously this thing doesn't have any fuel leaks of any kind, so we're good to go there. Then the sediment bowl over there is fine. This is fine. I don't see any more leaks. I left all the screw settings how the carburetor came. Hopefully they're at the correct setting. If not, I'll have to research and mess with that some more. But let's see if it's... Alright, so to my surprise, the engine started first pull. Awesome. That's awesome. Right now it's at idle. I think that slight rattling is the mechanism to slow through itself. A little smoky in here, but now it's been running for about a minute. Idling fine. It revs nicely.
guess the culprit was the carburetor. I'll have to take this apart. Maybe I can clean it further. Maybe I can reuse it as a spare next time. But for now, that's all folks.